Remember, factorising is taking out the common factors, the opposite of expanding brackets. Here we have 3 times a times b stands for 3a squared b, and 3 times 4 times a times b times b. 3, we can see that 3 is the common factor, and a is a common factor, and b is a common factor. So we're going to have 3ab, and then in the brackets here we're going to have just left an a, and then the second part we're going to have a 4b with a minus sign in front. Factorise by grouping. Now, factorising by grouping is quite important because it leads on to factorising for factorising a quadratic expression. So we've got amx plus 2anx plus bmy plus 2pny. Now we can see here, let's just look at these two terms together. There's a common factor of a and there's a common factor of x. So let's take that out. So we've got ax, and what's left in the bracket we've got m plus 2m. Here there's a common factor of b and y. So let's take that out. And here we have an m. Now the sign has to change, because if we take this back in, we're going to have a minus times a plus, which will give me that minus sign that I want. And then we have 2n. Now if we've done this correctly, here and here we should have the same thing in the bracket. Now this now is a common factor and can come out. So we're going to get m plus 2m, and we're going to be left with ax minus by. You can check that by expanding that yourself. Factorising quadratic expressions. This is quite an important skill, which a lot of students find difficult. Quadratic expressions are of the type ax squared plus bx plus c, where a cannot be equal to 0, b can be equal to 0, and c can be equal to 0. So factorise 6x squared plus 5x minus 6. Now here is a method of doing it which you might not come across before, but you might want to try to think of doing it this way, because it will make it much easier, because people find it very, very difficult to factorise quadratics where the number in front of x squared is no longer 1. So what you do is this: you say a product, you take the number in front of the x squared and the last number, 6 times minus 6, which gives us minus 6. So that's what's called the product. The sum, okay, is given as 5, and then you ask yourself this question: which two numbers, when you multiply them together, so whose product is minus 36, and you add the same two numbers, and you get 5. And you'll see that the factors are minus 4 and 9. There are lots of numbers you can try, but this will be the only one that fits this rule here. Okay, so this is the important bit when you're doing this method. Just check. Minus 4 times 9 gives me minus 36, and minus 4 plus 9 does give me plus 5. Then you rewrite this quadratic, but you split the middle term up into minus 4x plus 9x. It doesn't matter which way you write these down. So we get 6x squared minus 4x plus 9x is minus 6. We haven't changed the meaning of the original quadratic. It's still 6x plus 5x in the middle minus 6, but we just split the middle up. And then you do the method of factorising by grouping, which we just done up here. So you group the first two terms together and look for the highest common factor, which is going to be 2x, and what will be left in the bracket will be 3x minus 2. And then you look at the second two numbers here. What's the highest common factor? Which is 3. Okay, and in the bracket here it's left 3x minus 2. Now if you've done this correctly, then you will have this bracket, and this bracket will always be the same, because now you can take it out with as a common factor, and you'll be left with 2x plus 3, like we did in factorising by grouping.